Hello Super Cyclists, my name is Erica. I'm going to be offering massage after you finish your Gran Fondo ride again this year. We did massage last year and it was great, and I wanted to show you guys some stretches that you can do in preparation and as recovery. Hopefully you can start this today. Hopefully you're doing this with me now. If you do this every day, you will notice such a difference in your riding. I'm going to focus on the quads and the hip flexors. Our hip flexors are in constant partial contraction when we're on the bike, just like when we're sitting, just like how I'm sitting right now. The hip flexors in here, especially the psoas and the other ones as well, are in contraction. So we need to stretch those hip flexors, take them back the opposite way, and you just don't do that on the bike. So we're going to do it here. I'm using a yoga mat. If you have one, that's awesome. If you don't have one, you can use a folded up blanket or a towel. I don't think you'll really need it. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal. But if you have one, go ahead and get that out. We're going to start in downward dog. So bring your hands so they're a wide shoulder width, so outer shoulder width apart. Middle fingers pointing straight forward, other fingers spread wide as you can get them. The feet are at hips distance, your heels are reaching back and down, your thighs are pressing back. And just walk your legs out a little bit here. This is a big stretch, a big demand on the hamstrings. Another area that most of us are tight in. And then come back to center, sink your heels, reach them back, push the floor away, let your head be heavy. And then shift your shoulders forward over your wrists. Keep your hips low in a plank position as if you're doing a push-up. And then bend your left knee, bring your knee way into your chest, lift your heel up away from the floor, and then step your foot so it comes right inside your left hand. You want your knee to be right above your ankle, not way forward of it. So if your foot is way back here, you can either use your hand, or if it's almost there, you can use your toes and walk yourself forward, do a little itsy bitsy spider action. Reach your right heel back, sink your hips down as low as you can, and then lift the back of your right thigh up. So you want your right leg to be as straight as possible. Look forward and pull your heart forward. Try to slide your shoulders down towards your hips. Push your both feet into the ground and then draw them towards each other. And that'll engage the muscles a little bit more. And as you're doing that, your right toes are pulling forward. Press your right heel back. See if you can lift the back of your right thigh again. Make that leg a little more straight. And then push off your back foot. Bring your back foot forward so your feet are hips distance. Your big toes are in line. Your second toes are pointing straight forward. Bring your hands to your shins. Straighten your arms. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen your spine. Take your shoulders back towards your hips. And then exhale and fold, bend your knees, bring your hands to the floor. Step your left leg back nice and far so that your right knee is over your right ankle. Reach back through your left heel, sink your hips, lift the back of your right thigh, pull your heart forward, not your right thigh, your left thigh. Pull your heart forward, take your shoulders back. Press your left toes into the ground and slide them forward towards your right foot, and slide your left heel towards the back of your mat, away from you. Lift the back of your left thigh again. Let your hips sink and be heavy. And then push back to downward dog, this upside down V shape. Push the floor away. Let your heels be heavy and sink. And then shift your weight forward over your wrists again. Come into push-up position so your hips are in line between your shoulders and your heels. Bend your left leg again. Lift your shin up as high as you can. Try not to lift your hips up too much. Step your left foot so that the knee is right over your ankle. This time bring your right knee to the floor. If you want, you can fold your mat over. And then push your feet into the floor so you can come upright. So bring your hands to your left thigh. Take your low back towards the wall behind you, so try to lengthen out your low back as much as you can. Keep the length in the low back, and then start to sink your hips forward and down. Really focus on this lower back moving back. That's going to move your pelvis away from your front leg. Take your low belly in and up, and that's going to let you focus a little higher into your hip flexors rather than always focusing on your quads. Take a deep breath here. See if you can take your low back again. Pull your low belly in and up a little more. Lengthen your spine, lengthen the back of your neck, relax your shoulders. And then exhale, bring your hands to the floor. Unfold your mat. Step your right foot forward, hips distance, big toes in line, second toes pointing straight forward, hands come to your shins, inhale, halfway lift, take your shoulders back. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, bring your hands to the floor, step your left leg back, bring your knee to the floor, fold your mat over if you want it, push your feet into the floor to come upright, take your low back to the wall behind you, even here, you might even just stay here, I'm already feeling that in the upper part of my quads into my hip flexors. So keep that movement of your lower back towards the wall behind you, the sucking in and up of the low belly, taking the frontal left hip up towards your ribs, and maybe you can start to bend into your knee a little bit more, sinking your hips. But don't let the pelvis tilt forward. Keep the low back moving back. Relax your shoulders, lengthen the back of your neck. And then bring your hands to the floor, press back into downward dog. Hands are nice and wide, fingers pointing straight forward, middle fingers straight forward, other fingers wide. Heels are sinking. And then shift your weight forward, bend your left knee again, keep your hips below as your knee comes in nice and close to your chest. Place your foot on the floor. This time we're going to come into a crescent lunge. So if you're able to, keep your feet where they are, keep your back leg straight, and then push your feet down so you can come up. Just bring your hands on your hips. If that's too much, you can either bend your back knee and come back up here like we just were. Do that again. Or if your balance is a little bit off, you can walk your left foot out to the left, so bringing your feet wider, having your base wider. Otherwise, coming up, try to keep your left thigh parallel to the ground, so keep your hips nice and low. That's going to automatically bend your back knee, unless you have super open quads and hamstrings, in which case you don't need to be doing this video. Keep your hips low and then start to press your heel back. Try not to let your pelvis tilt forward. Take your pelvis back, your low back to the wall behind you. You can either keep your hands on your hips or bring them to your left thigh. Try not to lift up out of it, but stay nice and low so your hips are in line with your knee. Press your back heel back. Take your low belly in and up. Make sure you're breathing. And then exhale, bring your hands to the floor. Now you can either step your front foot back, your back foot forward, or you can do a hop switch. Just make sure your right knee is above your right heel. And then push into the floor, bring your knee down if you want, step your right foot wider if you want. Keep your hips low, and then start to press your left leg straight. Take your low back to the wall behind you. Take your whole spine to the wall behind you. Try to press through your left heel, lift through the back of your left thigh. Take your low ribs back, take your low back to the wall back behind you. And then bring your hands to the floor, step back to down dog one last time. And then bring your knees to the floor, come to sit on your heels with your knees and big toes together. And there you go. There are some quad stretches you can do. If you practice that now until your ride, you'll improve your performance. The more you can stretch, the more you can actually access the strength in your muscles, and you will notice the difference. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you after the ride. Come for a massage.